Welcome to Royal Daily Report, your trusted source for explosive royal investigations. It finally happened. After years of distance, Prince Harry's return to the UK didn't look like a homecoming at all. It looked like exhaustion. The story you're about to hear was never supposed to reach this point, because once the truth about Meghan Markle's pregnancies began to surface, Harry didn't move forward. He moved inward to the monarchy, one of the few entities that can help correct the shocking mess ongoing about Archie and Lilibet, and that's where this story truly begins. According to a legal consultant who once worked closely with the Sussex team, there was a night when Harry finally broke. No cameras, no interviews, just words spilling out because he could no longer carry them. That consultant claims Harry admitted something devastating. He said Meghan never carried their children. He said the story the world was told wasn't the truth. It was the version Meghan insisted on, and the version he agreed to support because he believed it would protect their family. At the time, Harry thought secrecy was safety. He thought silence was strength. But now, that same silence has become the heaviest thing he has ever carried. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report now. Don't miss this explosive investigation. Friends say Harry isn't angry anymore. He's not even defensive. He's hollow, overwhelmed by guilt. Not because of surrogacy itself, but because of the lie that wrapped around it. "I just wanted to protect my family," he reportedly muttered. "I didn't think it would go this far." Those words explain everything. Harry didn't plan a collapse. He walked into one step by step. And the moment he realized the story could no longer be controlled, something inside him began to fall apart. For years, one person stayed completely invisible. Her name is being kept private for legal reasons. She is known only as DL, and according to her, she isn't just connected to this story. She is at the center of it. DL claims she was more than a surrogate. She says she is the biological mother of both children. She says she has DNA proof. She has medical records. She has emails. She has paperwork that was never meant to see the light of day. For a long time, DL didn't speak. She lived under strict non-disclosure agreements that told her to stay silent, stay hidden, and never exist publicly. She was promised protection. She was promised compensation. She was promised that her silence would be respected. But according to DL, none of that happened. She says she was never fully paid, never checked on, never acknowledged again after giving birth. Asterisk, asterisk. Stay tuned to Royal Daily Report. We uncover what the palace hides. Asterisk, asterisk. Instead, she was erased as if she had never existed at all. No name, no role, no voice. DL says she kept quiet because she believed the system would honor its word. But when that trust was broken, something changed. She decided she would not be erased twice. And that decision is what turned a private arrangement into a public reckoning. To understand how DL became part of this story, we have to go back to late 2018. That's when she says she was approached by an intermediary connected to an elite fertility clinic. A clinic used by wealthy families who needed absolute privacy. The message was simple. A high-profile couple needed help. Everything would be confidential. Her identity would never be publicly linked to the children. The compensation would be generous. The process would be controlled, DL agreed. She signed the non-disclosure agreements. She entered the clinic system. The paperwork was designed with extreme caution. Even clinic staff, she says, were given limited information about who the intended parents really were. She carried the pregnancy. She followed every instruction, every appointment, every medical rule. And when the baby was delivered, she says the door quietly closed behind her. No goodbye, no follow-up, no acknowledgement. She was removed from the story completely. And that's where the tone changes. Because according to DL, what came next wasn't just secrecy. It was replacement. Asterisk, asterisk. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for shocking royal revelations. Asterisk, asterisk. A new story was rolled out to the world, one that didn't include her at all. And while the public saw smiles and headlines, the real foundation of that story was already cracking. At first, no one questioned it. When the palace announced that Meghan Markle was in labor, the world leaned in. Then, almost immediately, another announcement followed. Archie had already been born. Minutes apart. At the time, it felt rushed, but harmless. People assumed the couple wanted privacy, a different experience, a modern approach. But according to DL, that moment wasn't rushed at all. It was delayed. She claims Archie had already been born 2 weeks earlier, not in the UK, Not with royal doctors waiting, but quietly in Colorado. No photographers, no press, no palace steps, just a private delivery followed by silence. If that claim is true, then the famous moment when Harry and Meghan stepped out to present their newborn wasn't an introduction. It was a reveal, carefully timed to fit a story that had already been written. DL says the timeline was adjusted on purpose. The labor announcement, the sudden birth notice, the lack of hospital footage, all of it designed to hide the real sequence of events. And once you look back with that possibility in mind, things begin to feel off. Meghan appeared days later, looking perfectly rested, standing tall, wearing heels, no visible signs of recovery. At the time, people praised her strength, her grace. But DL offers a different explanation. She says Meghan hadn't gone through labor at all. Royal Daily Report, bringing you the truth behind the royal lies. If that's true, then the moment the world celebrated wasn't a private choice. It was a performance, one meant to present Meghan as a new mother without ever showing the physical reality of childbirth. And that's when the story stops being emotional and starts becoming procedural. Because hiding a pregnancy doesn't just affect photos, it affects paperwork. According to DL, this is where everything became dangerous. She says her name does not appear on any medical document the public would ever see. Not on discharge forms, not on birth certificates, not on any official record tied to Archie. And she claims that wasn't an accident. She says she was told directly, no trace of you can remain, not even a signature. If that instruction was followed, then the story wasn't just hidden, it was legally reconstructed. What makes this even more unsettling is what happened months later. Archie's birth certificate was quietly changed. Meghan's name was removed. When questions were asked, the explanation given was simple: a clerical adjustment. At the time, most people accepted that answer. But placed next to DL's account, that change takes on a different meaning. Not a correction, but a containment. A way to keep legal attention away from details that didn't align. DL claims the system around her was designed to erase her completely. Payments routed through intermediaries, clinic records sealed, legal structures built to make it look like she had never existed. But she didn't walk away empty-handed. She kept everything, the agreements, the emails, the clinic receipts. Because her silence, she believed, was part of a contract. And when that contract was broken, she kept the proof. ***, subscribe now to Royal Daily Report. We expose what others won't. ***, what began as a private arrangement had now become a paper trail waiting to be followed. At this point, the story stops being personal. It becomes constitutional. Royal succession isn't symbolic. It's legal. It requires lineage to be traceable, documented, and verifiable. That chain is not flexible. It doesn't bend for modern storytelling or private arrangements. If Meghan Markle did not legally give birth to the children, and if no official surrogacy disclosure was made, then the entire structure becomes unstable. Titles can be challenged. Documents can be questioned. Authority can be forced to intervene. And that's why this story matters far beyond the Sussex household. According to insiders, the palace is not afraid of embarrassment, it's afraid of precedent. Because if the official records don't match real events, accusations of misrepresentation can follow. Parliament may be forced to ask questions. International documentation, especially involving a U.S. birth, could be examined for accuracy. This is no longer about whether someone carried a child. It's about whether the monarchy itself was built on a story it believed was true. And once that question enters the room, silence stops being a choice. It becomes a warning. Something strange happens when powerful institutions feel cornered. They don't argue. They don't explain. They stop talking. That is exactly what is happening now. There have been no denials from the palace, no confirmations either. No carefully worded statements, just silence. The kind of silence that doesn't feel calm. It feels tense. Royal Daily Report, your window into the hidden royal crisis. Behind closed doors, advisors are reportedly working late into the night. Lawyers are combing through every detail of the Sussex narrative, not looking for spin, but for risk. Not asking how bad this looks, but how far it could go. Because if DL steps forward with even part of the evidence she claims to have, this won't be handled by public relations teams. It will be handled by law. And law doesn't care about intention. It cares about records. The palace understands that once evidence enters the room, history stops being flexible. Centuries-old systems don't bend quietly, they crack. That's why the silence matters. It isn't confusion. It isn't denial. It's preparation. While institutions go quiet and public figures disappear, one person is moving in the opposite direction. DL is preparing to speak. According to her team, she is ready to step forward with documents she says were never meant to surface. The list is extensive: signed confidentiality agreements, financial transfers connected to Sussex-linked trusts, emails exchanged with members of Harry's team, fertility clinic records, hospital billing documents with her name attached, photos taken inside medical facilities, private travel logs that align with the timing of the births. If even a portion of this material is authentic, it would be enough to trigger legal action across 2 continents. And this isn't being positioned as a leak or an anonymous drop. Her team has hinted at a televised sit-down. No filters, no editing, no handlers stepping in, just DL the documents and her account of what happened. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report now and hit the bell icon. Never miss a bombshell. For Harry and Meghan, this is no longer a rumor to dismiss. It's a countdown. Because once evidence is presented publicly, there is no rewriting the story, no reshaping the narrative, no walking it back. Evidence doesn't argue, it replaces. This was Royal Daily Report, uncovering the truth that could bring down a royal legacy. Subscribe now and stay informed on every development in this explosive scandal. Stay connected with Royal Daily Report, where the evidence speaks louder than denial.